Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 61 of Beyond Retro. I'm Nathan Kennedy here with Tank Tops, Tyler Baker, and MIA today, and maybe tonight. We're not sure. Joe Amato, equipment difficulties. Someone already mentioned in the chat he's probably trying to rub two sticks together, get it to work. We honestly don't know. He's having trouble with his Facebook. Messages aren't getting through to him apparently, and I have not communicated with Joe since I want to say Wednesday, maybe. I think
Friday morning.
Yeah, we were supposed to do Thanksgiving, and I'm just like, all right. And then I didn't hear anything. I'm like, all right. And then I guess Facebook just got weird for him. So yeah, just get Tank Tops and myself on this episode talking about The Toxic Avenger, which is a movie that, man, having revisited it the other night and having not seen it in about a good 10 years, man, like just it's so visceral and like but I mean this in the best possible ways.
Yeah.
The movie that put this company on the map. Toxie is still the face for the company to this day. And we'll dig on into it, but first of all, we'll go ahead and say hello to Who Dat Well, Janish, and Fedmon that are in the chat right now, guys. Thanks for joining us. I mean, Tyler, let's go ahead and I'll let you start. Let's kick this off. When was the first time that you saw Toxic Avenger? Because for me, it was Toxic Crusaders, like kind of seeing the figures, and I didn't see the movie until much later. But give us your experience with the film.
The toys introduced me to the concept of Toxie, and I knew there was a cartoon, but I guess like we had said before on Capes and Commentaries, there's a plug for if you want to kind of go down that rabbit hole, that kind of connected with Toxie. Didn't get to see the cartoon as a kid, but was definitely had an affinity for the toys, and didn't know there was any movies at all until the third one. I saw it on I guess, what was considered new release, even though the film came out in I think, 87, 88 or something like that. This would have been like 92, 93, I think. Whenever the toys came out, that's when I saw the third film was on the shelf at Nighttime Video, and I thought it was a new release. Like, it was kind of where the new movies were at. I guess it was like a new movie they'd ordered in. And it blew my mind, rented it, and my dad maybe turned it off within the first 10 minutes because of the violence.
Shocker. Well, I mean... That one I can understand.
Yeah, and I do too. And I was kind of shocked myself because that's not what I was expecting. I was thinking like the first Turtles film, where there's going to be action and violence in it, but nothing where guys are spitting up black blood out of their mouths and being mangled in a videotape rewinder and stuff like that. So I was taken aback. Of course, my dad was really put off by it. But I saw that it was the third film. And I hadn't seen the first or the second film to rent anywhere. And then USA played the first film on TV on a Saturday. And that was like, oh, I have to see this. Like, I was front and center. And I probably watched the first 30, 40 minutes. And I think we had to leave, whatever. It wasn't one of those things where my parents said, you can't watch that. Because even on TV, watching Melvin's transformation was quite unsettling. It didn't scare me, but again, it wasn't what I was expecting to see. And I felt for him. I felt bad for him, getting picked on, all these beautiful hot 80s babes, and you got the goofs, of course, watching. Now I'm like, God, who would ever feel threatened by the bullies in this movie, or anybody for that matter? But as a kid, you're watching, it's like, man, there's mean guys picking on him, like all those hot girls making fun of him. So I sympathized with him immediately and felt horrible for him when he gets picked on and humiliated and runs out the window and falls in the toxic waste, and all the jokes went over my head. Like, I'm just waiting to see Melvin become the Toxic Avenger. That's all I'm focused on. He's going to take out the trash and beat up the bad guys. And I don't remember watching too much further after the transformation in the bathroom where his skin is bubbling up and everything. I was like, oh my God, man! It was just that was probably the most. No, wait, I did watch up to the Mexican restaurant attack, but that it was like vague memories of that, and I wouldn't see any of it again until I actually rented it from, I think, Hollywood Video years later, and that's when I got to see all of it then. But it left an impression. I still like the character a lot. I was quite fixated on the idea of Toxie and trauma films and everything like that. Um, and I just always had a soft spot. I had to give a lot of testament to the cartoon and the toys for that, though, because that's what got it going. I still prefer the green skin look of Toxie with, the action figure look / cartoon. Like that's Toxie to me. Even though the movie's fine, the more kind of brown, muddy, muck and grime look, I still, I like the that kind of green because it makes me think of like Ninja Turtles and stuff like that too. But that was my first time seeing it.
Well, I mean, speaking of Ninja Turtles, those figures pair very well with
Don't
that
they?
line. They really do. Because for those of you that don't know, thanks to the Toxic Crusaders episode of Capes and Commentaries, I went and bought all the figures from the line. Only I think 2 of them are complete with their accessories, but I didn't need the accessories for everybody. I bought a couple of the vehicles. And I'm like, I need to go dig my turtles out and get like Mugman, because he would be perfect standing beside everybody else. But I agree with you on that point. I do prefer that look of Toxic, like the green skin, as opposed to in this. Not like it works in that, but yeah, you go back to like the intimidation factor of the bullies like Bozo and all those guys. But I think where it's so fucked up because they're when they're not at the gym, they are in their car running over people for points. Yeah. And I always joke about it when I'm in the car and people are just like walking in the middle of the road or being slow or whatever. I'm like, oh, they're worth whatever. But man, like a little kid gets their head just like smashed in, or first they get hit by the car and then they're like, oh, he's still alive. They can't have that. So then he backs up and runs his head, and a very like creative, like the special effect on that is very well done.
Yeah.
And,
but it's funny because of the, all of this, like I'm sure I assume anybody who's listened to this has watched it. So I feel like we're not, if for some reason you do need to watch it, but it's not off-putting because it's like, this is the kind of movie where Trauma clearly is in on the joke of letting you know, this is absolutely nuts. It's insane. We're not taking ourselves seriously. We're telling a superhero story here, but we're also being completely bonkers with this idea. It's silly. It's ridiculous. And we're letting you know, hey, we're not trying to be serious here. We're just having fun and being nuts with it. And, having like the kid just go, as the wheel crushes his head, and just all the bows are like screaming like this. And, all the girls were getting on. At one point, the brunettes in the sauna fingering herself, looking at pictures of the dead born. Like,
yeah, she's rubbing one out to pictures.
Yeah, like this is fantastic though. Like this is awesome. Like she's a hot '80s babe getting off in the sauna. It's messed up what she's getting up, but that's part of the joke,
And then Toxie comes in and throws her on the rocks, talking about her.
Oh man,
her hot ass, her smoking ass.
I'm like, dude, I know she's really rude, but that's no way to handle that situation. Like I just would have embarrassed the hell out of her, not damaged the goods there like that. I have to strongly disagree with Toxie's punishment on her. No, I wouldn't have done that.
It's I would have been.
She's too hot.
I would have been curious. Was there any backlash on this at any point? Like when it came out, was there like parents are just like, oh my god, this is blah blah blah. I mean, obviously we were probably
born, I think, when the movie came out.
Yeah, we were too young at this point to.
I can't imagine because I've never really dug into the back history of Trauma because I just have always known it to be there because you'd see other films like Surf Nazis and stuff like that on the shelf in the video stores. But I imagine and anybody feel free to correct us if you're listening to this in some Facebook group or you're a Trauma aficionado. We're not claiming to know the back ends and ins and outs of Trauma. This is just hypothetical. I'd imagine these films were kind of released as kind of underground VHS stuff. Like they probably had very, very small releases in theaters when they came out. Not enough to really, especially back then when everything's getting released on VHS. People aren't really forming mobs about stuff. It's clearly late. I don't know if it was because I remember on VHS, Stan Lee does narrating for the opening and closing of the film. I thought, You watch it on DVD, it's somebody else. But I swore I thought Stan Lee does the opening narration for the film. Maybe I'm wrong, but I could have swore when I rented on VHS. But I almost feel like, there's so much stuff that was released that's, risque and violent and stuff. Like, unless it was going to get a wide, like, theatrical release, it probably just went under the radar in terms of, like, doesn't draw too much attention if it's just going straight to video for the most part and just in limited releases and things like that.
Yeah, someone had asked what year was this film released in. It's showing here May 84, but only for New York, so it must have been like
that I do remember hearing that it only, because I know the guys that Tell Steve Dave are big Lloyd Kaufman fans, and they actually know Lloyd Kaufman personally. And I think they had talked to him briefly about when he was trying to get Toxie noticed, that he had really struggled just trying to get it into any theater to get it screened to let people know about it, which, makes sense. But I'm pretty certain that it didn't have much. And it was strictly like within the Jersey, New York area, and that's really about it. And then home video is probably where it gained its cult following, of course.
Yeah, it had another date on here of April 11th, 1986. So I imagine that's probably when it came out on VHS.
Probably so, yeah.
Or maybe gained enough steam to get a wider release elsewhere. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, because I imagine films like that, too, probably had a hard time getting funding, for filming, let alone getting, distribution release on home video, because, obviously 80s was the boom period of home video. So, yeah, it would, for people to want to invest in a movie that's quite rough, raunchy, violent, how do you sell it? Do you sell it as a comedy? Do you sell it as an action film? Do you sell it as a science fiction horror movie? It's kind of like American Werewolf in London. It's like an amalgam of different, it's clearly a comedy. I see it as a comedy. I put it over with my superhero movies because I consider him a superhero. But I think more of it is like a comedy, kind of like Howard the Duck.
Yeah, I could see it basically being pushed towards when sort of the grindhouse theaters were still existing up there. I'm sure that it fit in perfectly.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of these kind of snuff films were exploitation films where, women are just willingly showing their breasts, no problem at all. Showing, having one of my favorite gags in the movie, and I'm a dog lover, but I just laugh when the guy who plays Sandman in Death Warrant is playing in the Mexican fast food place, shoots the blind girl's dog, but to sell the effect, they just slide the dog across the floor. Like, the dog's clearly, alive, and they just somehow slide the seeing eye dog, Sarah, across the floor. And I just thought it was something, me and my brother both thought it was such a funny gag of trying to sell the impact of being shot by a shotgun, just because it's so silly and ridiculous. I take, offense to like watching dogs get hurt in movies. And of course, when you watch John Wick, you want to kick everyone's ass. But this, I'm like, this is just being silly, because the dog's really clearly not dead. Even when they show the effect of like the dog's been shot, the dog's laying there just breathing, with all like the effects on him and stuff. Like, I love it. It's just like, it's so cheap. Like that too. But,
I think that's one of my favorite segments of the film is just when Toxie comes into and she's like, I'm gonna fuck you up, and then he just tears his arm off.
I know, it takes him up for the guy to realize his arm's been torn off. Like he's still, and they all knew kung fu. Everybody in this movie, even Toxie, everyone knows how to roundhouse kick, fly kick. I mean, nunchucks are available. A Mexican restaurant that has samurai weaponry on the walls. I just definitely a take on how popular ninjas were back then too. But I just thought that was so crazy. When the last time I watched it was one of those things where I'm like, man, everybody in this movie, like Cigar Face's gang, like they all know kung fu, and like a kung fu drag queen. I forgot what his name was. The guy who's dressed up like a woman, and they're all gonna like rate the police officer and stuff like that too. But he knows, it's just waiting for him to do like Van Damme's helicopter kick. And stuff like that too. And how Toxie's voice constantly changes throughout the film. Like, it almost sounds like there's a different guy doing his voice.
Yeah, it goes from the part to just like grunts and stuff to like just a deep like,
hey, it's gonna be all right. I'll get you out of here. Just like, it's not even Melvin talking. Like, it just he's grown up. He's got a much more adult voice. It's like an enhancement of puberty for him.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that the guy that did play Melvin though has made his stay on the convention circuit. He can just go out and like have a mop and a tutu on, and
Yeah, because he's been to 2 Mad Monster conventions
yeah,
you and I have been at. It's a shame we didn't take advantage of it, but we had other priorities, I guess, when we
yeah.
read
It's
those.
that it reaches a point where it's like, all right, I've already spent X amount of money. This is what I have left. Do I get his autograph or do I save my money and get something from over here? And unfortunately, he was one of the ones that sort of got cut out of it. But he seems like a really nice guy.
Oh, absolutely. Like
Anytime we passed by him, he was always just like hugging on the people and just like really happy to be there. So, he's no Tom Savini, but
thank God.
yeah, fucking prick,
Douchebag. Take any. It's hard to even watch Dusk Till Dawn because of Tom Savini. Like it's like the whole like kick-ass aspect of Sex Machine is destroyed because you know what that guy's like in real life.
Yeah. Never meet your heroes, kids.
Unless it's Hulk Hogan, he lives up to the hype.
Yeah. But just going back to the movie and thinking about just they like to run people over, and then it just keeps like boom, boom, boom. From that to like the fight at the Mexican restaurant. She's about to get raped. Sarah almost gets raped twice in the movie.
Yeah.
There's one.
And
She
just
comes
right.
out. She's like, I'm waiting for my boyfriend. And they're like, oh, we can be your boyfriend. And then, Toxie shows up and whatever. But I think one of the other disturbing parts in the movie for me is sort of, I guess he's like a pimp. He comes out and
it's a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, he pulls out the little girl, and the little girl's like, I thought we were doing this or whatever. And then he makes the joke of looting, like, hey, you want some of this? She's only 12. And Toxie's like,
And he's asking $12 for a 12-year-old girl, like, it's messed up, but it's trauma. That's why, of course, see what bothers me, and I told Nathan about this yesterday or the other day. What makes this, it's because of the presence and all the bitching, whining, and complaining people have done about what you see in movies and what you see on TV and what you see on social media. Whereas back then, even though seeing this stuff in the 80s, like some people were probably, knee slapping and smacking the buddies. Can you believe this nonsense? This stuff is absolutely crazy. It's hilarious. You watch it now and you feel like
you kind of see it through the eyes of the people that would be greatly offended by it.
And I hate that because it's such a demonic presence in our society. All the constant, black bars put over this. You can't do this and you can't do that. It's a movie. It's fake. But because of that, you're watching this stuff. You're like, man, this wouldn't be allowed today. That wouldn't be allowed today either. They would never put that in cinemas. They wouldn't allow that either. And even though I'm enjoying it and laughing to myself, I'm like, this is awesome. This is great. Like the stereotypical gay dudes they have in there that are, working out in Speedos. Like watching 80s gyms, like I get a kick out of that because of the caricatures of what they show in the gyms. Because you do see goofs like that, not like the stereotypical gay dudes, but goofs that are in the gym being complete pricks and douchebags. You see that in your modern day gyms even today. But depicting gay men like that, I'm sure would probably piss off people today. That and depicting women like they do in the movie, but the violence, the pretending to murder a blind woman's dog, rape in a Mexican fast food restaurant, raping a blind woman, it's stuff that if it does happen in a movie today, people are like, get nominated for an Oscar. They have a rape scene with a blind woman, That's compelling cinema. They had balls, they had guts, and Sean Penn was the actor who came in and stopped it. He'll get an Oscar for that. It's just don't take this stuff seriously, people. Just have some balls to say, you know what? It's all right to enjoy this kind of stuff. It's not, if you like it, it's not saying you enjoy watching a blind woman get raped. It's ludicrous. It's nonsense. It's like the classic 80s candy, bonkers. It's great, and so is the candy.
Well, Eric Amon made a point. I want to say hi to Wiley Wall, Eric Amon, and Delvis, who also popped in the chat.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Eric Amon kind of said the same thing. He said, joking about pimping out a kid doesn't mean you condone actual pimping out of a kid. No. But people don't get that. And it's like, it's entertainment. It's there. Like, yes, if it is offensive, like that, That's
If you made it that far into the movie to the scene where the pimp comes out trying to pimp the 12-year-old girl, how is it everything else you've seen up to that point? Oh, that's okay. But this thing, that doesn't.
yeah, no, it's funny when you watch certain stand-up comedians now. They'll make jokes and people are laughing at it, and then they'll say one thing and everyone groans. And there's been plenty of times where the comedians just, but that was the one. We made it this far, and that was the one thing that
Yeah.
you guys are just like, all right, I'm drawing the line here. It doesn't make any sense.
I can appreciate if some people go, oh, like they want to laugh, but that's kind of cutting deep. I'm like, I feel like the comedian, goes, what, and just play it off like, every comedian has something to say like that. Any good comedian can throw out a bit of a grenade every now and then. I think it's, well, shoot, look how long George Carlin made a career out of being risque and telling it like it is, but not afraid to say what he had to share. And it's like, I thought it was great. Like, that's the kind of mindset, you feel like, don't censor the comedians. Dude, you got no business being in a comedy club or going to see a comedian if you're the kind that's going to get, sand in your vagina over something.
Well,
like that.
I mean, that's the other part of it too. Like, if you do find it offensive, stop watching it. But people feel like once they're offended that, you know what, I have to get on the soapbox and tell the world. And it's like, no, like, just, you didn't like it or it was offensive to you. That's fine.
Yeah, because if that's the case, then you know what? I need to get on my soapbox and make sure that shows like The Bachelor or reality TV of like, oh look, these two idiots are gonna buy and flip houses, and we're gonna throw in all this fake nonsense drama of like, oh man, the plumber says that the plumbing's no good here. Find out what happens after the break. Like, who cares? Like, if you think the stuff that we like is offensive, well, then I think, flip or flop or flip or, whatever the hell. I find that offensive. Why can't we cancel that?
I mean,
so it's like, you know what? Because people like that stuff, just like people like this stuff.
Hey, some of those house makeover shows are all right.
No, they're not. No, they're not. I've had to sit and watch. They're all the same. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. But, however, I will say this, because this is all about all-encompassing here. I'm making an example here, because people love to go out and attack stuff that's considered offensive. Okay, well, that's why I feel like, there's a lot of crap in entertainment that I don't like, but it's not my place to sit and tell people that they can't watch something that I don't like. Who the hell am I to sit there and denounce people and tell them that this must be canceled? This must not be seen by the public because I think it's trash and it's offensive because I find its subject matter is like the brain of an ice cube. Who am I to sit there and tell you that you can't? And who are you to sit there and tell, men and women that they can't watch, exploitation films of the 70s and 80s? Like, it's, if we're all trying to encourage encompassing and acceptance from sexual orientations to religious backgrounds.
Well, that's the thing. Not everyone's trying to do that, though.
Well, when they start bitching publicly, that's what they're saying. They're pushing for acceptance. But when it comes down to it, people like to kind of make and break the rules as they go along.
Oh,
But here at Beyond Retro, we are all accepting, except Chris Pratt. We encourage,
I welcome
acceptance
Chris
of all.
Pratt.
I know you do, and that's why you're still my best friend. I accept you for your beliefs. I don't have. It's like in the episode of South Park. I don't have to accept it, but I tolerate it. Like I allow Nathan. If Nathan likes that kind of stuff, that's his choice. He's a grown man; he can make his own decisions.
Well, it is funny because it brings up my situation at work. The group of people that we're all in the corner together, and we always kind of think like if anyone were to pass by and just hear some of the shit that we either talk about or say to each other, that they would probably be like, "Oh my god!" Because there's this girl that works over there, and all the dudes, I shit you not, dudes just come out of the woodwork to just like to walk by and just look at her. And then they'll try to come like talk to her, whatever. Anyway, we have a rapport back and forth to where like she's loud and obnoxious. And she said something one day and looked at me, and I was just like, "You're so fucking stupid." Like, I didn't mean it. I was just saying it to say it, and she thought it was funny. So we have this thing back and forth now where I'm just like, I wish I would, like, every time you speak, it makes me wish I was deaf. It just really, like, if someone passed by and heard, they would probably get really offended by that. But I don't. I've never understood that. Like, I don't get offended by anything. I think if I had to pinpoint it to something, I get offended when people don't have acceptance or don't have common sense or feel the need that they need to really push their views. And it's mostly conservative people, and that's their thing.
I'd say both sides, because I feel like, you know what, and I'm not political at all. I just feel like some people get so angry about their views, not just with politics, but how they think people should live their lives and stuff like that, from their entertainment choices to their sports teams to their choices of how they live their lives. I'm like, you know, if they're not harming you directly or throwing in your face literally, then who the hell are you to stop? Go out of your way to stop and tell these couple of guys that are busting each other's balls that you don't like how they're talking to each other, you know, or that you don't agree with couples being affectionate in public or something like that. It's like,
Yeah.
as long as they're not bending one over the table, you know, at the local food court at the mall, you know, just you know, look, they're being affectionate. It may not be the most pleasant thing to see, but just go on.
Yeah.
You know,
Go about your
don't.
life.
Yeah, I mean, do you have that much free time that you just had to walk over, tap one of them on the shoulder, and say, "I don't agree with what you're doing here."
Yeah, people do that though.
Oh, I know they do.
I no, I've seen that in public. I've seen like gay couples out in public, and someone will walk up to them and just be like, I do not condone of this." I'm like, well, who are you to, like, who cares? Like,
Shut the hell up,
yeah,
man.
you just you fuck off and go somewhere else. Like, it just, yeah, all the guys in the chat are like, man, this is starting to get a little heavy. I think it needed to be sort of discussed though, because when you're talking about movies like this that clearly are just exploitation and it just sort of parody and comedy with elements of like horror and things like that, that because you know now if you were to screen this to people, they would just be, oh my god, I can't believe they hit the kid with their car and ran him over. Oh my god, this blind girl. It's like, no, like you're not, you don't get it.
No,
You don't get it. And
like if they were to do one of those, like, you know, goofy YouTube videos where they show like old stuff to like younger generations and they record their response to it. If they were to take this to any like a big college campus and show it to freshmen, the current freshmen that are in right now, you know, the ones that have grown up with social media, like that's all they know, and all the, you know, do's and don'ts of that stuff, and you show them the Toxic Avenger, like you kind of feel like some of them probably would enjoy it because they're in college and rebelling, but then you got all of them that would probably, you know, a lot of them would probably be enraged about seeing children being ran over and elderly ladies being beaten, having their cars stolen. Like, not accepting the fact that this is completely silly and nonsense. Like, even the attack on the old woman, it's hilarious because of how it's done. It's choreographed in the most silly, ridiculous way. Anybody, I don't care if you're a social justice warrior or you're not, if you're watching any of this stuff, you can't possibly take any of it seriously. That's what we're getting at here, guys. We're not, Nathan and I, neither one of us are political in any means. I couldn't even tell you who's running for office, who's in office, and whose views and what. I'm in such a plastic bubble.
I try to avoid, but it's kind of tough. I'll see snippets of things, and it'll make me groan a little bit because I'm just like, all right. I personally, I feel like as a whole we're regressing, but it's also we're in this weird space now where everyone has so much access to everything, and it's like, what do you believe anymore? Like, who can you trust? Hubba, money.
Who do you trust? Who do you?
It's politics are. That's why I never choose to talk about it. Like, if other people start a conversation and they ask me and pull me into it, then I'm like, all right, here you go.
I just tell people I'm not political. Like I'm, you know, that's why if I ever watch anything political, I'd watch Lewis Black because he makes fun of both sides and everything in between. Like there's no like,
I
encouraging
think,
accepting just one side.
Yeah, at this point, it's like, fuck both sides of this. How about let's just be
normal
Yeah.
and
Let's just be human beings.
yeah,
Like,
treat everybody with respect. I don't
yeah,
care, male, female, gay, non-gay, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Italian, Asian, Russian. I don't
yeah.
care. Just,
Like,
if you're nice to me, I'd be nice to you. If you like Chris
but
Pratt movies, well, don't throw it in my face. You like it, you like it.
but
But
it's
don't.
been this way since forever. Like people just
Yeah,
aren't
but you
gonna.
know what? We're on a small little underground podcast here. We have no agenda here. We're just two
Oh
guys
yeah,
chewing the fat here with guys listening to us right now. So I think that anybody listening to this clearly knows we're two local Virginia guys. We got no axe to grind. We're just defending people's right to entertainment. I remember I went and saw like the Da Vinci Code when it came out because there was all this drama about, oh my God, like so many people, so many religious groups were upset. I went to go see it just because what could possibly offend people of this movie? I came out like, who the hell is offended by anything in this movie? This is the most dumbest movie I've ever seen. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of money. I'm like, why did Tom Hanks and Ron Howard waste any time on this nonsense? And people were up in arms about this. I'm like, why? It was just, you know, I feel like, God, people are so. It's like, aren't you parents, or don't you have people that you love and want to spend time with, and you have to write letters and go on the internet and very like you have to make a point about this stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Don't you have jobs and pets you would rather play with, or video games you'd want to play instead, or watch your favorite sports team, and just go on and start bitching about stuff?
Yeah, life's too short to really just be so angry about so much all the time. Like, and I say this coming from me, Tyler's probably like, "What the fuck?" Because I do like I just don't have a tolerance for just laziness and stupidity. And when I say stupidity, I'm just like people that can't look at a situation and just look at it from all aspects or both sides and just be like, yeah, okay, whatever, and move on. Like, it's just those people, like people I work with that they move so slow on purpose and they're always complaining about something. And I was like, let's just do the work and get it done. Like the time you spent bitching about this, you could already had it done. Like I don't have any place in me to just be like.
And
Anyway,
to me, that's no different than any other man or woman walking this earth who has a full-time job. We
yeah,
all deal with people that are either holding us up, holding us back, or making getting through your day a lot more difficult because they'd rather stop, pull an Uncle Leo, grab you by the arm, like, let me tell you why I'm really pissed off at our boss today here. Well, they puff on a big cigarette and just blow the smoke in your face and think that you really want to devote time from your job and your duties to stop and listen to what this douchebag has to say about something he's clearly not going to do anything about.
yeah.
You know, we just want to remind people we're just like you. We're like everybody else. Everybody listen to this live or on Podbean, on iTunes. I'm sure a lot of you go through the same things here too. But
oh yeah, the world is fucked. I just
even the Toxic Avenger, that's the kind of, it's a messed up world.
Yeah,
and you just got to learn to fight back and realize, embrace everybody. Just like how the city of Trauma embraces Toxie. Like, he's not a bad guy. He's trying to mind his own business and live a happy life with a beautiful blind girl. But yet some people are like, oh, we don't want him here. Like, no, we ain't doing that here.
Love, peace, and happiness.
Love, peace, and happiness. We'll put a flower in the gun if we have to. It's, we're just, we gripe and complain about stuff on here, but the gripes and complaints we share on this podcast, they're about movies and TV and cartoons and entertainment. Yeah. We don't really come on here and bitch about like the hard topics you see on CNN or Fox News or NBC nightly news or your local, CBS News or whatever. Like, nah, we're talking about fanboy problems. Those are the problems that keep me up at night. Not, tax reform and stuff like that.
Just wake up in a cold sweat and you're like, that fucking Pratt.
Oh, like, God, he's still dating Schwarzenegger's daughter.
Nah, that I love it. I hope they get married.
It's
gonna be the best. The best
thing. I'll be like Wayne in Wayne's World too. I'll have to cut off the sleeves. I'll show up like here. Let me just. It'd be like in Spaceballs, and I'll show up as like Lone Star, when she's getting ready to marry Prince Valium, you know. And I'll say, no, she doesn't. And I'll show up and I'll tear their arms off my tuxedo. And I'll just kind of shove douchebag out of the way. And you can be the Barf to my Lone Star. You know, he's like, what's your name? Barf. Your full name. Barf, follow me. Are you the one that's getting married? No, then get out of here. You know, it'd be great. And then Schwarzenegger just accepts me in, and he passes the mantle over to me to be the next big action star. And you can be the comic relief in all my films. It'd be great, man. Box office glory. Gold. Just pure gold. We'll still do the podcast. We'll still make time to do the podcast on every set of every movie that we're on.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Keep dreaming there, buddy.
Jack Nicholson can make time to watch all the Laker games when he's filming a movie. We can continue to make Beyond
He doesn't
Retro.
go anymore, does he? Didn't he stop?
Well, shooting out, LeBron's playing in LA. He's got to be going still.
Yeah, but they're not even doing that good.
No, they're like, I mean, they're. I think they're in the top 8 as of right now. But I checked the standings like about a week ago. They're still not doing great though. So, yeah, I don't know.
I'm looking at the chat here, just kind of reading some of the stuff. And
have we ran people off? Are they bored with?
Oh, no. They're going back and forth about. I think one of my favorite things is Fedmon said, "This is why I don't use racist, sexist, or homophobic terms. Why use any of that when I can just call somebody an asshole? Because anyone can be an asshole." Yeah.
Exactly.
That's entirely true. And then Giannis is kind of pondering what it would be like if Joe were here right now and we were in this conversation, what his opinions and thoughts would be.
Joe would be probably PC, just kind of sit back with his arms crossed and
listen to what we had to say and just like, well, back to the movie.
Yeah, because he's PC about everything, and he's all about pretending to throw gas in the fire without actually throwing gas in the fire. Anybody that sees his Facebook post, it's like, so guys, tell me from a scale of 1 to 10, does this suck? Or something like that, knowing full well he thinks it sucks. He just wants you to say it sucks without him actually asking you to say or come out and said, I think it sucks. Do you agree with me?
Oh man,
he's got his ways around dancing around the truth, and the cult of Amada they all dogpile in.
Yeah, he's that cult, man. It's a good cult though.
Words. It is a good cult.
That's a good cult.
They're good people. The Kool-Aid, it's sugar free. It's clean Kool-Aid.
I'm gonna admit something on the show right now. I have not watched any of the Toxic sequels. I need to. I've had that set for so fucking long on DVD too. You would think that I would have watched it by now. Oh, I need to bring this up on the show this week too, because we did Roger Rabbit last week, and we got a comment on there that was just like, I did not appreciate the language that was used. And I was like, well, clearly this person is new. I don't know if they're a subscriber or not. And I got to thinking, and I'm like, maybe they just searched Roger Rabbit on YouTube and that popped up. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. And then they're like, oh, what is this? But I commented back, and I was just like, sorry that you didn't like that, but that's who we are and that's how we talk. Like, yeah. I'm not going to change that for anybody. Like, sorry.
The purpose of this is the content is for it to be like you're listening to your friends talk movies.
Yeah.
If you're out at a restaurant and you're talking movies after you went to go see a movie, or you're hanging out in the basement somewhere and playing video games, you talk about movies, cartoons, and stuff like that. That's what this is about. It's not a professional setting, because we clearly don't have the means for a professional setting or a studio or anything like that. It's just, we're just guys that are just sharing stuff, and hopefully people enjoy what we have to say. That's the mission statement of the podcast. It's not to be on the Joe Rogan status or something like that, it's just.
I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe this week people will be bored by this episode. Don't know why. I'm just kind of.
We know Joe's absence always has an effect on stuff. It's just kind of when Joe's not there to advertise it, people not as many people tune into it, stuff like that too. But we don't know what people think about the Toxic Avenger or Toxic in general. It's just kind of we throw it out there, and like not every episode's going to be a
humdinger,
or not every episode's going to be a flop, a lemon. We could always talk about something that's
I think the next time, that Joe isn't able to make it, I know we kind of had our ideas for some of the other stuff,
Well,
but
this was all like last minute. Like we had already
yeah,
set in stone we were going to do Toxic Avenger. So
I know that we had the plans for Superman 4 and Race with the Devil, but I also want to throw out, since Joe doesn't, he watched them once and doesn't remember. Maybe we can cover the two John Wick movies. I think
that'd be great. Yeah, yeah. That way, we're not strictly like just sticking with the old stuff back in our day. Kind of thing is John Wick 1 and 2. They need to be praised, especially with 3 is on its way next. Well, I think 2019.
Yeah.
I think May 2019.
Yeah.
Yes, in all its glory, wrapping up the series, man. So we'll have to do John Wick, Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, and
Joe likes that, I know, but.
And I think if we can manage to see Creed 2, got if Joe sees it, maybe we can review that as well. Because I know Joe loves the Rocky movies.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe we got to try and find time to go see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it may be one of those things with your work schedule coming up when we have to see it at separate times and just try to just go see it. Just make sure we have it in time for the podcast.
Right.
So.
Fedmon brings up Sergeant Kabuki Man. I actually have that on DVD and also have not watched that either. I have a lot of movies that I've just gone and bought.
And Nathan has done this for years, though. Like that's one of those things I would ask him. Did you watch that yet? No.
There's so many things that I bought years, and at this point, God, 15 years ago, maybe even longer. Sat on that
Nathan's
shelf.
DVD collection, Blu-ray collection, it dwarfs mine, tenfold. But I could probably have a great time pointing at movies. Did you watch that? No. Did you watch that? I didn't even know I had that.
I am reaching a point where I'm just like, I thought I had this and I don't have it, or I have it and I'm just like, oh, I have that. Cool. Do you remember when we used to log? You did this too, right? Where we log anytime we buy movies, DVD aficionado.
Yeah,
we logged them on there, and then there was another one that I would go to. I think at last count, when I sort of stopped with it, I want to say I had about 1,600 movies, like DVDs and Blu-rays.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I kind of lost interest in doing it because I feel like the only person that
too.
sees this is me.
Yeah.
Like, why am I doing it? It would seem cool at first because that's when we were so big into just, and I guess for our own benefit, making it look like, oh, I can scroll through all these movies and nobody else knows about it except me. Oh, why am I doing this?
Right.
Yeah,
I kind of dropped off of that train as well. I mean, I guess
you made it a hell of a lot longer than I did.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's good for like a insurance purpose sort of thing to make sure you have cataloged what you have, but at the same time too, just go and take pictures of your collection now. But at the time, we didn't really have access to phones that had cameras on them.
No, when we were doing that shoot, I don't think we even had cell phones at the time.
I think you did. I hadn't gotten on that train yet, and then I got a phone, and then you moved, and you're like, oh yeah, I text now. And then I went through that whole phase.
Which I fought against that for a while, though. Like,
I
think it wasn't until like 2005, I think, when I started to text. Because I was just like, I just didn't see the whole point in it. Because, like, I don't need to text. If someone wants to talk, they can call. I'm like, you know what? I'd much rather text than phone call.
I fought it until like 2009. So I held out for a while, and I'm just like, I don't like this. The fuck texting. If you want to talk to me,
I guess just because when you see what the trendy population is all about, you're like, I want nothing to do with that. So therefore, you denounce anything that's trendy and popular and that's like you can't avoid, like not seeing, because it's always there in front of you, no matter where you go.
And then eventually you assimilate into it.
Yeah, but
to.
you just you do have to. Like texting is.
But now it's better because I don't like talking to people on the phone. I'm like, unless it's my mom, my parents, I will talk to on the phone. Everyone else, I'm like, yep, you can text me.
Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way for the most part. Work-related stuff, just send a text. If I get on the phone, we got to do the formalities, and I'll never get you off the phone and you interrupting my work or my flow at work. Just send me what you want, and I'll respond to it, ASAP. So.
Yeah. Well, back to Toxic Avenger. What else should we mention? And any other highlights? I think the one other highlight I would like to bring up is just that death with the weights. I thought that was another very well done.
that
effect.
was, and it just how over the top it is. Like dude, the part, it was like, I think the weight rack, we're talking maybe 30-40 pounds coming down at a very light speed, crushes like the guy's head in half. And I'm just thinking, like, just how ridiculous, that kind of weight doing that much damage. Of course, the human skull is very fragile, but just like the excessive apocalyptic damage that was done with the smallest amount of weight possible on the rack.
And it was funny too because Toxie at this point scares everybody away, and he's still just doing it. At no point is he like, I hear screaming. He didn't look around or nothing. I'm like, all right, it's just little nice touches like that it makes it funnier to think about. Like, he didn't hear, like he didn't notice any of this, and then as you said, it's such a lightweight coming down at such a slow speed.
That's just classic. I mean, that, and I always liked the brawl in the alley with Cigar Face and his two henchmen. It was just, I don't. Plus, I liked the fact that one of the henchmen had a name like Cigar Face, like almost like that should have been the character that showed up in the Toxic Crusaders. And then the mayor, the corrupt mayor, looks very reminiscent of, like the Crusaders mayor looks a lot like the mayor. He's a big obese guy, a big glutton guy.
Yeah, he's just laying there getting massaged while he's just eating
like they
a
don't shy
sandwich.
away from the fact that, like, hey, you're gonna lay there and just look as repulsive as possible, eating a sub sandwich. You get women all over you. The local sheriff is a German Nazi almost, essentially. Just everything that's like considered villainous and offensive is just thrown in here in one big melting pot.
Well, it's just like the little lady that he kills at the dry cleaners, and that's how they think they're going to frame him. And he's like, actually, no, this lady was quite bad. And he's like, oh, we got to cover it up. But that scene in and of itself too was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, it's now I will say this too. Like I told Nathan, because it had been so long since I've seen it, I did feel like the film should have been cut down a bit, because after a while it kind of gets a little drawn out to a certain degree. You kind of feel like, because I still don't know how long the film is. Is it 90 minutes or is it?
No, it's an hour and 22 minutes, I believe.
That's it. God, it felt like it was longer than that.
Oh, it's showing 79 on here, but I want to.
Holy crap! Wow, 79 minutes feels a lot longer than it did. Well, then you know what? I stand corrected, people.
Let's dig into that a little bit. At what point do you what would you cut out? What parts felt too long to you?
I kind of felt like some of the segments with the mayor and his entourage, they're there to kind of like, we're corrupt and we got hooligans running around that answer to us. I almost kind of felt like the big storyline should have been, Toxie gaining acceptance of the town, not trying to talk the police and the town officials into thinking that he's really a good guy, while he's stopping crime, like random crime, getting the girl, and getting revenge on the bullies that caused the damage to him. Like, it kind of felt like it should have been more condensed. Obviously, the running time is perfectly fine. I completely apologize for that. But I kind of felt like a lot of that stuff, it was fine at first, but I kind of feel like it kind of draws out the pacing, even though it's a very short film. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it kind of does. Like, I didn't have any problem with it. There was nothing that felt like too long or drawn out for me. But no, that makes sense, because there's been times I've watched other movies too, and I'm just like, it's kind of dragging, but it's not really that long.
Yeah. Oh, it's like with the recent Halloween film, where the whole movie was great, but when you got that one goofy sequence with the doctor, you're slowing down the pace of where you're really trying to get to.
Yeah.
Because the film does end with the town accepting Toxie and like, no, we're not going to kill this guy. He's a monster, but he's really a good guy. And the mayor gets his comeuppance and having his, intestines torn out and it rolls over and everything. But, I kind of feel like all the other stuff, probably with the mayor and his shenanigans and stuff, probably could have been axed. But I kind of felt like there's probably blasphemous to major trauma film fans, where they love all the trauma films no matter what. I don't say that to offend. For me, I can appreciate criticism about pacing, certain scenes or characters that probably should have been cut to kind of keep the films more lean. And that goes for comedies, action, horror, drama. It's not just with a particular film. I feel like there could be valid arguments for pacing with all genres of films, children's animation, things like that. So that was just a random thought, but it by no means takes away the joy of watching The Toxic Avenger. It really doesn't. So anybody who hears this, you're like, this guys don't know what they're talking about. I'm just reminding you, I genuinely love the film. It's not coming off as like I'm a pompous, prick, and I know more than you do with my monocle and top hat. Like, no.
You would never wear a monocle or top hat.
Nah, but that's just the kind of persona for like these goofs, who deem themselves, movie aficionados and really don't know anything. Come off like they just watch.
Well, I mean, hey, we were there once. We were both that way once. I know I was. I was like, I have all these criterions.
I was not a criterion collector, though, and I didn't deem myself, because I still had a great appreciation for, even though I didn't grow up on horror movies because I was too scared of them. When I got man enough to watch them, I'm like, these are great. And you watch the current stuff, like, this isn't good. Like, I didn't grow up watching Halloween until I was, in my early to mid teens. So to watch horror movies of the day, like, these movies don't hold up as well as a movie that was made in 1978. Like, I'm aficionado for quality. That's what I appreciate. I don't care if a quality film like John Wick is made today, then I slap a blue ribbon on it because it deserves first place.
You slap a tomato sticker on there.
Yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes seal of approval, people.
It's fresh.
Clearly not bought by anybody. It's certified fresh. Good grief! I mean, almost kind of like at this point that has got to like become as worthless as a half-eaten peanut. It's no use to anybody. I mean, who at this point is listening to that website for any kind of information about? I really don't know if Aquaman's going to be any good. Oh, it says certified fresh. By God, I'll be there.
Yeah. Well, just to throw this out there, Toxic Avenger has a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, by the way, based off of 20 reviews. Then that's the shit I don't get either. It's like, how can we retroactively go back and like give that a rating? I don't quite understand that part, but
yeah, they lost their way a long time ago. That's why I don't listen to any internet reviews or sites that have critics that go and post the reviews. Like, nah, I stopped reading all those a long time ago because it really has gotten to where if you're a website that's on the press junket and you obviously you get the website gets money for your reviews and stuff. Everybody's giving really positive, unless it's absolute trash and you were not given like a screening of it or anything. You had to go see it at your own free will. You're out of your own time to go see it and do a review for it. You kind of feel like you're not as fenced in to write a canned review. You feel like you could watch something that you may not have interviewed stars for, or you feel like you have a little bit more of a reason to be kind to this because we're doing advertising for this film on our website. So try to be as
I see that gets
as possible.
I mean that gets tricky too. That's happened with video games before, where Jeff Gerstmann got let go from GameSpot because he gave Kane and Lynch 2 a terrible, like, he was like, this game sucks, but Kane and Lynch was sponsored, like had a spot on the website, and it got really murky. So it's funny how it kind of ties in what we were saying earlier. It's like, don't believe everything that you read because you don't know. Maybe they got paid off to say all these nice things.
Because it's sad because you know what? We're not in that position. If you're in a position where you're giving a lot of extra income to say something positive about something you could care less about, but you're getting a nice paycheck, you know what? If we were in that position, who knows? We don't depending on how big the check is.
You would take the paycheck. I know you would.
Well, so would you.
I don't know.
But behind closed doors, I'm telling you, if someone was to slap $1,000 check in your hand to sit there and say, I need you to say something relatively positive about
Slender Man.
Or some January dump film,
I don't think I would. I think I'd stick to my guns on that.
Well, given how much money you have in your bank account, you can get away with that. Whereas me, you're like, I need the income.
Slender Man was great.
It's certified fresh, God. Nah, but but since that's not us, and who am I to judge? I don't judge the people who say those reviews. It just kind of makes me feel like a lot of these websites. I mean, you said it yourself. Like when Ain't It Cold News used to be like one of the top sites to go to for movie news and reviews. And it's got to where like Harry Knowles is saying everything is great, like everything,
Yeah,
any kind of
everything.
garbage that was coming, everything is great. Like this guy loves everything. Like, okay, something's not right here. Something's not adding up. It's like it didn't used to be this way on this website. So you stop going there. JoeBlow.com. I kind of feel like I was getting the same thing from, a lot of the guys on that website. Eric Warkuski was like one of the few guys, but then I disagree with him on a few things too. But he was still like a good film critic because he liked a lot of the same stuff that we did. But I remember when like they gave like Prometheus like rave reviewers like, are you people out of your mind?
Yeah, that movie was trash. That movie
God.
sucked. And what? Oh God, what's even the Alien? What's the sequel to that?
Alien Covenant.
Yeah, that was garbage. I couldn't think of Covenant. I was thinking Isolation. I'm like, no, dumbass, that's a video game.
That's probably what you felt like doing after you saw it. It's just isolating yourself from anything Ridley Scott does from here now and forever.
Yeah. Once again, I feel like another director that's just like, what went wrong?
I think
what
Gladiator
happened?
was the last decent film that guy ever made. And that was back in 2000. I know some people may like movies like Matchstick Men and Kingdom of Heaven and
I hear the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven's way better than
I think
what
my
was
brother
released.
I think my brother genuinely liked. I think he had the director's cut too. I think, but I'm like, it's Orlando Bloom. I don't care, and I just kind of felt like burned by Ridley Scott. I'm like, you know what? I just don't like the guy's work anymore. But it doesn't make you want to go back and revisit Gladiator, of course, the first Alien, and some of his other stuff. But another one that kind of lost his way, like Oliver Stone, Steven Spielberg, Tim Burton, George Lucas, if you ever want to give him credit.
Yeah.
So.
See, that's the thing. Like Prometheus, the problem I had with it is just like it's not an alien movie. It's not an alien movie. It's an alien movie. You
Oh,
spent
but
all
it's
this,
not.
but it's not. But it is. And then it's like Covenant went through the same thing. It's like just all this shit and talking like Prometheus was. I'm like, people are not here to see that. They want to build. They want something similar to Alien or Aliens.
Well, they want to see a xenomorph running around killing people. Like, tell a different story. Tell a story that doesn't revolve around Ripley and people that she crash lands and she's going to get these people in trouble. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Telling another story that gets the alien creature on a ship and kills people, or in a different location and kills. That's what we all tune at or show up to watch. And I was so excited for Prometheus when that film came out. We went opening day, me and my dad, and we both left furious after that film. We just absolutely could not stand that film. And my dad got dragged to see the second one with his aunt and nephew, and he hated the film.
Yeah. I read Bucks that one. I went and saw Prometheus with Sam, and Sam was like, "It was pretty good," and I was like, "No,
like, all right, we're done."
Yeah, space come. I remember the Red Letter Media.
Oh yeah, why?
Yeah, it's
all
of
mess.
this.
It's a train wreck.
Yeah, but if you like it, all the power to you.
I'm not. Yeah, we're not. We don't criticize people for liking what they like. I love Jaws of Revenge. I don't care. You can denounce me all you want. I like what I like. You like what you like.
What happened to the show this week? It's like, let's talk a little bit about Toxic Avenger. Oh, let's kind of bring it up. Like,
it's the same thing with even when Joe's here or not here. We venture off into uncharted waters over stuff.
I know, but I feel like we've kind of touched a lot of things of just like, well, if you want to like this, fine. Like just balancing out through this entire thing of just people's opinions and thoughts on things.
Well, I mean, I guess that's kind of one of those things. Like like all this is improv. We have no real preconceived notions about what we're going to say, other than we know what we're going to talk about. I don't know what Nathan's going to say. I don't know, or he doesn't know what I'm going to say. We don't know what Joe's going to say.
We don't have like a script or anything.
No, we don't, and we don't tell each other in advance for the most part what we intend to say. It's just we show up and then share our thoughts. That's pretty much how it goes. And for the most part, because I've known Nathan since high school, I know what he thinks about most things. And same thing, he knows about me. Joe, it's kind of gotten to where I'm like, I just don't know him anymore. I thought I knew the man behind the mask. Clearly, I don't.
What was was Rawhead Rex the tipping point for you?
Nah. It's just that was just like one of those things. Like, I really thought I was going to stumble on something. Okay, I could see why Joe likes this movie. No, it wasn't the case. But
I really wish we would have been able to do that Thanksgiving episode because for once you would have seen that Joe and I did not agree on something.
which I know a lot of times you'll purposely disagree with me and agree with Joe because you like getting me worked up about
Oh
stuff like
yeah.
that. Yeah. But for the most part, all three of us were budget schools. We all like the same stuff in terms of like movies and animation and TV shows and stuff like that. Not all stuff because these guys are glorified, bona fide haters of Seinfeld and Frasier. I carry a big flag for it, whereas Nathan only likes Freaks and Geeks and Joe only likes Family Matters. So it's pretty much but we all can agree on certain things.
I like how that's always your go-to. It's like
I'm always waiting for you to acknowledge that, and for years you've just kind of like, well, I don't just like only Freaks and Geeks. Like, how many more times do I have to say this for you to finally sit there and say, that's always your go-to? I know, that's the joke.
well,
I only label you as Freaks for today's the day. I've done it for years. And
it's like every time. I'm just like, yeah, well, you like Freaks and Geeks. And I'm like, well, yeah.
And he never responds the way that I want him to. And he finally has done it. It's the joke.
Well, if I don't get to do the Thanksgiving thing with Joe, I'm just going to throw this out there because Joe's like, Thanksgiving's great. And I'm like, all right.
Well, you're here. Go ahead and give your little mini review of it.
I'll sit down. I'll watch this. And the budget for this was $3,500. So I'm not expecting anything. $3,500. Just let that sink in for a second. $3,500. It has its moments. There are some funny parts. It's not a long movie. It's like a little over an hour. But Jesus, man, like you definitely see that budget. It's very, very, very cheap. The acting in it's fucking terrible. I guess it must have just been like his friends or something. It's like, oh, let's do this over the weekend. But it was just I didn't like it at all. It had some funny moments to it, but Joe was making it sound like, hey, it's great and I love it. And I know that there's a sequel, which oddly enough is called Thanksgiving 3, that was crowdfunded, and I think the budget that they got up to was $112,000. So I will watch that to see, if that sort of presents itself better than this first one. But I didn't like it. It's to anyone not familiar with this, it's basically actually the opening shot is just like titties. So basically
I'm offended by that.
There was a turkey that a killer turkey back in the Pilgrim. I think I want to say it was during like the first Thanksgiving. And he ran amok and killed people, and he got disposed of and had laid dormant for years. And these college kids are going on a trip to go back home to visit their families, and it's very stereotypical. There's the jock, there's the redneck, there's the nerd, and then there's like the book smart hot girl and the really dumb hot girl. And basically, I think a dog pisses where the turkey was buried. And he's
like
back.
An homage to Nightmare 4 or something like that.
Yeah, and he's back. And it's just like a puppet. And the voice of the turkey is the director, of course. And there's one really dumb part where he somehow he finds a way to go to like their houses and stuff and like kills off their parents. But one of the parents is the sheriff. He kills him and like takes his face off and puts it on his face, but it's like a lot smaller because he's a turkey.
Yeah.
And they show up and they think that that's the dad. And I'm like, all right, it's kind of funny, but it's really fucking stupid too.
Like I'm picturing Joe like doing that really like hard laugh that he does when he's like, rolling back. Like I'm just picturing him laughing as you're describing all this stuff because Joe just thinks, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Hot sauce is just like dribbling all over his mask.
He's just he's just spitting it out. Yeah,
he just chugs it and something funny happens. He just spits it everywhere and slaps his knee.
Yeah.
But no, it's just it had its moments, but it was not good, sir.
Let him know what Emily had to say about it.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing. When we watched this, it had passed midnight, so it was because I watched this on Black Friday because it was Thanksgiving night going into Friday, and Friday was Emily's birthday. And she looked at me at one point. I think we were about 40 minutes in. She was like, "You let Joe know that I hate the fact that I had to watch this on my birthday." And I just started busting out laughing. So, Joe, if we don't get to tell you this, or you go back and you listen to this, she was not happy about watching that movie on her birthday. That was.
So we hope you feel twice as bad for missing the podcast and putting that poor girl through misery on her birthday.
But I will watch the sequel to see what he can do with a bigger budget, because $3,500 is not enough. Yeah, Jake Juggalo and Tamara Shipper popped in here. Thanks for joining us, guys. He says Thanksgiving is so bad it's funny, except 3. We'll see, but I did not like. I didn't really like it that much.
And this is coming from a guy who voluntarily watches a lot of garbage. Like the guy's probably watched more garbage than he has the movies in his actual collection.
Yeah,
so,
not wrong on that one. And I was like, I don't want to say I was like drunk, but I had a beverage, so I was in the right mindset for it, and I was still just like, it's not good. Not it didn't do it for me. God, she's probably gonna hang that over my head now,
and
forever.
rightfully so.
She'll be like, "Hey, you remember when you made me watch Thanksgiving on my birthday?"
And I should have been watching the My Little Pony movie or something like that instead.
No. I have watched a little bit of My Little Pony, and I'm just like, that was enough. That can. If you enjoy that, that's fine. She's actually got some of her. When we went up to that wedding back around Labor Day, her mom actually gave her some of her older stuff, and she does have some of the vintage ones there. So I'm like, that's kind of neat. And I was telling her, I'm like, we can put like a shelf going across right there, and you can kind of display them. That way, I have more ammo that people can just give me shit about when they're watching, thinking that that's all my stuff. But yeah, Fedmon's actually right. He's like, yeah, but she watched that film with you. That means she's marriage material. Absolutely. She's watched a lot of the terrible things that I just voluntarily sit down to watch, and she doesn't care. She doesn't really bat an eye, but
I mean, because she can always fall asleep. So
yeah,
she's just kind of immune to it.
Yeah, she came close to the end of Thanksgiving. We actually watched a movie last night, and she fell asleep. I was sitting there like kind of laughing, like pretty loud. Didn't even wake up. I was like, man.
It's like, I gotta laugh harder. You got to put on Dumb and Dumber, and then like have her like wake up like during Jeff Daniels' epic bathroom sequence, No,
I'm gonna sit her down, and we're gonna watch that, because that is one thing that needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
I know we've talked this entire show about people's opinions, and if they don't like that, that's fine. But for her to say that she doesn't like Dumb and Dumber, I can't have that. I gotta change her mind on that.
There are films in our world like Jaws, Predator, Ghostbusters, Dumb and Dumber. Those are films that I feel like Wizard of Oz, like there is no tolerance. That's something I will not tolerate. Those are the kind of films you feel like, there should be some sense of approval or appreciation for those films. Not saying you got to be a hardcore fan, but you get it. Or you like, wasn't bad, pretty good, or something like that. Of course, my initial impression for people who say they haven't seen Jaws, I'm like, what? I thought the shark was kind of fake in the movie. It wasn't as real as like Meg, And they just, take their head and smash it clean out of their ass.
Oh, yeah, that came out on Blu-ray.
Oh, yeah, my cousin bought it and was ranting and raving about it.
Oh, they liked it?
Oh, yeah. This is all the same cousin who loved Venom and thought Alien Covenant was awesome. I know. Yeah. I got into a disagreement with him about Venom in the parking lot when I called him come out of the theater for it. He got quite upset. I was like, no! And sure enough, I ended up seeing it,
Speaking of bumping into people in public, guess who I ran into yesterday? Well, we passed each other, and I was like, was that who I thought it was?
Jason Queen.
No, and then I got a message. Was like, did I just see you? I was like, actually, yeah, you did. You want to take any other guess? He listens to the show. We
Travis?
we were supposed to hang out with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And where
Uh,
did you happen to see him?
the liquor store.
Wait, had it been, was that Matt?
No, it was Jordan.
Jordan was at the liquor store?
Yeah.
So I figured it'd probably be Matt going to the liquor store.
No. So I walk out of the liquor store and I'm walking in my car and he's like getting out of his car and we sort of just passed each other and I like stared him in the face and I was like, I kind of gave him that look like, because he's got a beard now. I don't, last
That's
time I
right. You
saw
haven't
him,
seen him in person in a long time. Yeah.
yeah, and he had like a Broncos beanie on, and we pass each other. And I'm sure because his girlfriend was sitting in the car. I'm sure she looked at me like a weirdo because I'm just like passing by. I was just like, and then I just went to
Remember
my,
that guy.
and then I just, and then I just went to my car, and
You should have
went.
just yelled, "The Broncos suck, man," and just got in your car and left.
John Elway's a loser. Um, Terrell Davis wasn't that good. Um, but then I get a message from him. He's like, "Did I see you at the liquor store?" I was like, "Yeah, that was me." He's
Yeah,
like,
so I'm on
"Oh,
my way to Pizza House to go hang out. You're going to be there, right?
yeah." But man, like after I went there, I went to Chick-fil-A to get some food, and Chick-fil-A around here at like 6 in the evening is
Oh,
just it's packed, and the drive-through is packed because my plan was just get the food, go back home. So I'm like, I'll go inside because the line in there doesn't look that bad. And I'm sure these guys are like, where's the conversation about Toxic Avenger again? But I go in there and I order an 8-piece nugget and a sandwich
I mean, these
combos.
guys come in and threaten to rape you over a table, and then Toxie comes in to save you.
No, no, that would have been interesting. But so I order all that stuff, and the lady comes up beside me to order her food from another cashier, and she's like, I want a sandwich. I want a grilled chicken sandwich with blah blah blah. I don't want that. I want this nugget, and I want a lemonade, and I want a cookies and cream milkshake, and I want a 30-piece nugget. Holy shit! Like she ordered one of those that
Party trays?
well, I guess so. So I'm waiting there for my food. And they're like, order for Nathan. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, I see the bag there. And then it's also like inside of another bag. And she hands it to me. And I look and I'm like, holy shit, I got her 30 nuggets in here. Well, I'm going back to the car. Time to go home. So I got a free 30-piece fucking
Oh, man,
nugget
that's
from
awesome.
Chick-fil-A. Yeah. Emily
I
had
love
some
to
of
seeing your face like, I'm going home.
yeah. I was like, well, see you later. So now,
Oh, man.
hey, I mean that was all their screw up, but so
Now,
I
that's
had
something Joe would really be enthusiastic to hear
I
about, is
know
getting a free party tray. Like this whole
30,
episode,
30
like, Joe's
nuggets.
gonna be like, "What is Toxic Avenger? 30 nugget party tray." That's the part that's gonna make Joe pop up. He's gonna light up, when he hears that story, if he hears that story.
Yeah, but 30 nuggets, man, 30
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A nuggets.
Isn't it awesome getting those party trays?
Yeah, so I come home and I just like I take the 8 nuggets and just dump it into the little container that had the 30. I'm like, I got 38 nuggets here. I'm gonna do the math. Because Emily ate some of them and she made like some other stuff to eat with it because I was like, I'm not gonna be able to eat all this. So I had my sandwich and there were 16 nuggets left. So that means I ate 22 nuggets and a sandwich and fries. Whew. I was stuffed last night. So thanks Chick-fil-A for messing that up and giving me just a shitload of free chicken.
Now, was this supposed to tie into Toxic Avenger? Because I think you made a point to say like this is like, I know you're supposed to talk about Toxic Avenger, but just bear with me.
I'm saying like I'm sure these guys and you see it in the chat. It's like Toxie who?
Yeah, we've let the listeners down this week already. Clearly,
You know what? I kind of feel like we have, honestly.
yeah. I think we had this. This is a flop. Just the lack of even though everybody comes along for the ride when we talk about a wide variety of topics when we're talking about one movie or something like that. But you know what? But we ought to do something like maybe a bonus episode to make up for this flop of an episode where we just could not stick to the topic at hand. We got too preachy and political when we're saying we're not political, but we managed to still be political. And I don't know. Should we? People listening, you guys want a makeup episode or something like that? Something to,
Oh, I like. When would we do that?
I don't know.
We'll just, make it up to you, but we just don't know when.
We do like a brief 30-minute episode. We talk about American Werewolf in London or something like that, or Alligator. A movie about the big man and the alligator in the sewers or something like that. Another fun episode, a bonus episode. We recorded, something that they would, I don't know. We apologize for that. It wasn't the intention.
I think overall, I think it was fine. I think these guys by now know that we're going to talk about it a little bit, but we're going to talk about it.
Well, I guess it really depends on the enthusiasm too. Not to say we're not enthusiastic about Toxic Avenger, but I think if we were to talk about,
we kind of hit the high points. We talked about the kills and
how violent it is and how people would respond to it today and stuff like that. I blame society. That's the reason this episode's done, is I blame society. If society had not watered down with all of our, you got to be protective and censor this and censor that, you can't do this and you can't do that, we probably wouldn't have went down that rabbit hole of this and that. And so yes, I blame social justice warriors. So don't blame us. Blame those morals on the internet.
We're getting a suggestion of killer clowns from outer space.
I mean, that's always something we can do too.
I think, wasn't that something that we were supposed to talk about during Halloween?
Yeah, but that's when Joe kept we should do this and do that. And I said, how about Dr. Evil? Is Tyler serious? I can't tell if he's really being serious. Don't say LOL. I'm really mad right now. I'm Italian. Just relax, man.
True Lies is getting thrown out. We'll definitely cover that at some
I've got it right behind me. I got the movie poster right over here, people. See right there? Absolutely. We could do True Lies for you, people. Absolutely.
Well, look how he lights up. He's like, more Arnold movies? Yes.
It's like we've been doing this podcast for over a year. We've only done Total Recall and Commando. I mean, it's kind of a shame. And we've only done Rambo, too.
We talked about...
Well, we did barbarian films, but not like a specific episode on just an Arnold film.
True.
And we did the 80s action movies, too. But I mean, like I said, a specific episode dedicated to... I don't want to do Predator yet. I really want Predator to be way down the road. That's something that'll
be the last episode of the show.
No, I just kind of feel like, that's like blowing your load too early. That's why it'd be fun to do Red Sonja or Conan the Destroyer or
Suburban Commando.
Suburban Commando. That'd be another, or No Holds Barred, like a double feature.
No Holds Barred would be.
That'd be awesome to do.
Or maybe you could. Yeah, because you probably wouldn't want to talk about Mr. Nanny, would you?
Even as a kid, I just didn't like Mr.
Nanny. I didn't like it that much.
I didn't like it at all. I watched it once. I'm like, this is not as good as Suburban Commando and No Holds Barred. I watched it once, nah, I'm good. All the Suburban Commando stuff is even today. I still enjoy all the humor in that. It may be dry to some people, but watching Hulk Hogan smash a melon all over that old lady, I found a good one. Or when he goes into the arcade, give it up, Tragnose. Give it up, that's all great, good stuff. Or constantly beating up the mime.
Christmas season coming up, Jingle All the Way has been suggested.
Yeah, I mean that's another. It's definitely one of my least favorite Arnold films, but I'm not opposed to discussing that one by any means.
Anything to stroke Tyler's ego. I agree with that.
Well, now what would that be? What would be something to stroke my ego? I whoever said that, I need you to, whoever you are.
Any of the Arnold movies.
How does that stroke my ego, though?
I don't know. We're just giving you shit. Joe's not here to help. I've enlisted the help of the chat room.
All right. Well, that's fine. I encourage give me more. Throw out more. I enjoy a good roast like that. Don't Clash of the Titans. I mean that's a film that I think never gets enough credits. Or in some of the other Ray Harryhausen films like Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, or Golden Voyage, or Jason the Argonauts. Oh, masterpiece. Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. I'm just looking at the shelf at random stuff here. Cape Fear, another Rocky film. We could do The Thing. We could do. There's so much stuff. And you know what? And we've yet to do an episode based on the cartoon series. But then again, too, would that kind of be redundant since we do capes and commentaries, you think?
Sort of.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I guess we'll just stick to like Pee-wee's Playhouse. I think that's a topic of discussion for this podcast.
Backdoor
Discussing.
Sluts 9.
Hmm.
Makes me think of Clerks.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be a good one to do.
I almost feel like Joe's like, "What's Clerks?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he's like, "How dare you guys think that? I know what Clerks is. That's that black and white movie, right?"
That's that really old, boring movie.
Yeah. What's in black and white? It's not in color. There's nobody Italian in it either.
Nah, he wouldn't do that. I was thinking in terms of like younger kids just being like, that's old.
I don't expect anybody you listen to this podcast is like under the age of 30. And if they are, more power to them.
You never know.
Yeah, don't know, but probably not. But if you are, let us know. Let us know that you're pissed off about what we have to say and that you're clearly younger than 30 years old.
Girls Gone Wild 3. Yeah, that's all those late nights with those infomercials, man. Like just the desperation of like, please buy this, but also the desperation of the Doug Stanhope going around. Well, I mean, those videos are just like, oh, come on, take off your top.
There was such a letdown.
Please, I gotta get paid. I can't believe those things made as much money as
I know, especially when you watch it, because I remember me and Nathan used to watch those infomercials so much at like 2 a.m. and laugh hysterically. And then I think my brother came over to hang out with us and brought a tape over. So we were like, okay, we'll finally see what these things are really like. And there's nothing exciting about a guy with a microphone begging women to show us their tits for the cameraman here. Like, there's nothing erotic about, please, come on, please. Like, there's nothing arousing about that.
Yeah.
So how are guys buying these things in large quantities of just listening to a guy begging to see tits? It's just like you're better off just renting or watching a porno or something like that. I think we watched it maybe 20 minutes and shut it off because this was boring.
Yeah, and it was mostly just that other guy. It's like, look, I bought a jet. It's like, that's cool, I guess.
And it was such a fad for such a while. I guess people really thought you were going to see something pretty erotic. And you're like, no, not really.
Yeah, just like a peer pressure. The movie.
Yeah, there's nothing fun about a girl being pressured into showing her goods. Like, it's just not. It's not fun to see that.
Who's gonna get a dinger for that?
Yeah. Just listen to some loser, please.
Fedmon's throwing out. He said for Capes and Commentary, Street Sharks and Dino Rider. We actually did an episode.
Yeah, we did the first episode of Dino Riders. If you hadn't seen it, or another episode, maybe that's what he's referring to. But we do have Street Sharks over here, and that is something we definitely intend to tackle.
Yeah, that's definitely something we're gonna do.
It's something that our guest Robbie London worked on, who's going to be joining us tonight on Fans of Power. So, if you have a question about Street Sharks, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to answer it. But we hope you guys weren't too let down by this episode, and appreciate the gags that sometimes we stick to it completely, and other times we're just it's a big paint disaster. There's just paint smears all over the place, and you think,
I feel like usually most of the times that happens like that when one of us is missing. Like,
I don't know, it happens a lot when all three of us are here. Like, one of us will share a story about something that we think is related to the movie that we're talking about, and then and then we just kind of veer off and like, what the hell were we talking about to begin with? I mean, I always feel like if I like the people that I'm listening to talking on a podcast, I can appreciate whatever direction they go in. Because if they're entertaining, they have something fun to say that you, I can relate to that, or that's fun, that's amusing.
I got free chicken nuggets once.
Yes, I can relate to that. Best part of the podcast was the Chick-fil-A story. How the hell would they were tempted to talk about Toxic Avenger? But, I guess they can't all be classics.
Yeah.
So we apologize if you did not enjoy this episode. We will.
This is our Prometheus.
No. I will not allow ourselves to be labeled that.
This is the Red Rooster of all of our episodes.
That's too harsh. Give us. How about?
You don't even know.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
See, I never really liked Hacksaw either.
I'm not saying he was my favorite wrestler either, but I didn't mind it when he was out.
See, I even when he came out, I was like, he's boring. Even
I
as a
really
kid,
wish
I thought.
I really wish I could have watched wrestling with you as a kid because I would have been marking for all the baby faces and just to see you're like, man, oh you guys suck, man.
Yeah, I would have been like rooting for Warlord or something. He sucked too. You know what? I probably would have looked at you and I'm like, dude, we're watching WCW. The matches are way better. Here we are. It's like 6 years old. I'm like, the matches are better, better flow. Because I mean, honestly, like you go back and you watch older WWF, and it's just yes, the presentation's top notch, and yes, like they're larger in life and they're big, but they don't move that well.
I mean, yes, there's no argument that WCW matches were a lot more faster paced back then. Yes, of course. I think it's one of the things that continued on even into the Monday Night Wars. Like they had much more faster paced matches until they have, like Edge and Christian, the Hardys come in and they have their high spot matches and stuff like that. Because with Jericho and Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, all these great performers on the mid card stuff, it was just made it always exciting. Watching Booker T, back in his WCW days, it was fantastic to watch him wrestle and stuff like that. So no, I don't argue that, not a bit. Of course, watching Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect wrestle or something like that, you can't argue that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Still, probably Bret Hart's my favorite match of his was his match at SummerSlam over the Intercontinental title with Mr. Perfect, though.
No, that was a really good match.
Fantastic match.
I would even throw him and Davey Boy from '92
at
Wembley.
Yes, yeah. I thought it's the match we were talking about. Yeah, I wouldn't argue that either.
I mean, they were more than capable, but there was just a lot of one-dimensional. Like you bring up Hacksaw, like if you look at his work prior to joining the company, like dude had a lot more to offer. Instead, it's like here's a 2x4, just say ho all the time, go USA, and just even as a kid, I was like, this is boring.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was more controlled and playing to the audience as opposed to having a great match, because it's more about the gimmicks and stuff like that. Even though some of them were quite memorable gimmicks,
Yeah.
Not to say that that's why I felt like I don't feel like WWF back then gets enough credits. Like, yes, the star power was up, but there were some really good wrestlers, like legitimately. Like you say what you want about Hogan, the guy did have entertaining matches. Also depend on who he was working with as well. Not saying all of them were classics. That'd be blind to say that, but I mean, there was, WCW had a lot of great workhorses. I mean, they both did,
Yeah.
You like what you like to, but,
I do know
pros and cons.
I do know that Duggan, because it was brought up in the chat, that Duggan was in the hospital this weekend, but it appears that he's gonna be all right. So even though I thought he was boring as a kid, like I never was like, I don't wish any ill will towards him or anything.
I did like him as a kid. I liked him. I liked Boss Man, Hogan, Macho Man. I always, for the most part, I always saw Macho as a heel as a kid. For the most part, because that's what I always remember him as a heel, but a great heel. Like one of Hogan's, best enemies was Macho Man.
Yeah,
DiBiase, another great worker. Man, we probably won't wrap this episode up if we just keep going. Down another rabbit hole.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Tyler, any final thoughts on Toxic Avenger? And go ahead and give it your star rating out of 5.
I give it, you know what? It's such a different movie, and it embraces what it is. It's genuinely funny. Beautiful women all over the place. My favorite's the foxy brunette getting off in the sauna. I love her to death. Oh,
I think Sarah to me is the most attractive in this film.
Sarah is an absolute knockout too. Very, very pretty.
I guess we could talk about that sex scene real quick. I thought that was kind of funny with Toxie and Sarah.
Oh yeah, where he's just kind of like, yeah.
I'm surprised that wasn't a little more out there and grotesque.
Yeah, it was pretty tame. It's just kind of him, rubbing up against her.
I figured we would have gotten like toxic sludge all over her stomach or something. You know,
Yeah,
like
I'm surprised
something
Lloyd.
alluding
Maybe
to
maybe
that.
that was suggested by Lloyd, or something like that. But like, yeah, you know what? We're getting away with a lot more here. Let's not go too far here.
Yeah, we'll cut out the toxic cum shot.
Yeah, but I'd probably give it 4 stars.
That's fun because that's exactly what I would give it as well. I kind of hate that. I was like, damn it! I was hoping that he would maybe lowball it a little more, and I would
No,
hit him with the four
because
stars.
my only gripe was just I felt like some of the material could have been cut. And we just keep it more tightly focused on toxic fighting crime, being accepted and taking out the bullies, and just kind of keeping it tied up like that. It's not enough to justify giving an even lower rating that because I embrace films like I think it's great that it's as exploitive as it is and doesn't shy away from what it wants to be. So yes, it deserves a high rating for that.
The movie,
Absolutely.
the movie that built trauma,
Yeah, it's
basically.
like with the Freddy Krueger to New Line Cinema.
Yeah,
The house that Toxie built.
yeah. We're gonna have to maybe cover some more trauma films if you ever fill up to it one day. Because
I'm more
I have
open
a
to doing
slew in
something like
my
that.
collection, like redneck zombies. Uh, there are a few others. Mother's Day is kind of trippy and weird. I know they remade that. You think that this has potential? And yeah, I know that things have changed, but do you think they'll come back to the well and it's like, you know what, we're doing it again?
I'm not opposed to them doing another Toxie film. I mean, I'm really not. I mean, even if they decided to just retell it in a modern day, I feel like they could really give the middle finger to all the PC nonsense that we're forced to deal with, and just like, no, this is trauma. They can do whatever they want. If they want to be risque and exploitive and offensive, then here's money. Do be as offensive as possible. Don't shy away from what you've always known to be. So yeah, I would embrace that absolutely, as long as Lloyd Kaufman's name is on there legitimately. It's his company, and it's a trauma film. I don't think I have too much to worry about, because it should be different.
Well,
But
what if a bigger studio came in and it's like, hey, we will
I don't
help you
see that
distribute
happening.
it? Yeah,
I only with distribution purposes. If they want to come along and help put the movie in theaters as like a grindhouse kind of film, but keep an R rating on there or a hard R rating, then yeah, I'm like, as long as they're not going to come in there and, some hotshot's going to come in and like, I want a big explosion at the beginning of the movie, but we don't have a need for that. You do now because I'm pulling the funding if we don't get a big explosion at the end of the movie, or some ridiculous. I'm referencing the movie Ed Wood when I say that.
that's a fantastic film.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a high mark for Tim Burton in general and Johnny Depp. But I'm not opposed to doing something like that. I think there's been talks about trying to do like another Toxie film for a while, but
All right, yeah, I just we're all over the place today.
yeah. Well, we are being true to our form. That's what we do on this podcast.
Yep. And after this, we're gonna go search out and maybe find some goodies.
Hopefully.
Probably not. The last few times I've been to this place, it's been just like dry, and I'm like, damn it. It's like had a few good weeks of finding like good figures and statues and things, and now nothing.
Maybe I'll be the good luck charm.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Yeah, probably not.
But if you guys are new to this channel, make sure you hit subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when we go live or a new video gets posted. Check out the links down below. We have Podbean and the iTunes link if you guys want to download us onto your devices and listen to us. But I also want to encourage those guys that are on that platform, come over to the YouTube channel, give us a subscribe, support the channel. I felt like I almost didn't get that word out. Check out beyondretropodcast.com. It'll take you to Pop Culture Network's our page on that website that will have all the archives stuff. You can look around there and you can find Capes and Commentaries and Fans of Power, the He-Man podcast hosted by Tyler and Joe. But I'm kind of getting the feeling that
It'll be no Joe.
It's going to be you and I and Robbie London tonight talking about his body of work. Check out Joe's Custom Creations. Hit him up once he gets his stuff working. Get him some funds in there. Get him feeling good. I don't know how he's feeling right now. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, I imagine something like this probably stresses him out and doesn't feel too good. So Joe, when you do listen to this, we feel bad for you, bud, and hope you get it up and working as quickly as possible. So,
and make sure you guys keep your eyes peeled on this channel for Beyond Retro Arcade. I did that Ninja Turtles episode. I know I had like a little test run with it, and the audio on it sucked, and JSP and Wiley Walt were happy enough to let me know that they couldn't really hear me, but I got that fixed. That video's up there. I'm going to try to, I keep saying this and I've been saying it all weekend, but I might try to stream some more stuff. Maybe tonight after we're done with Fans of Power, like later tonight or something. But I want to get more content on there. Hopefully hang out. You guys can pop in the chat and we can interact while I'm playing the game and just kind of have a good time. It'll just be like a side rant, but with video games or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll mess around with it, but yeah, sleepaway camp next week, possibly.
Yeah,
we won't set that in stone yet. We'll see how things are going to go with Joe's setup and what he would like to do and whatnot. But yeah, until then, thank you guys again in the chat for joining us live. Always a pleasure having you here, and we will see you guys next week.
Take care.